What is up, everybody? Good morning. Alex is headbanging already. It is way too early for that. Happy Saturday. Happy Christmas Eve. Welcome to another exciting episode of Coast to Coast College Football Pregame Show. I'm your host, Bill Shawcross. You can call me Uncle Shally. Two gentlemen, as always, that will be joining me on today's endeavor. First off, we have Mr. Cottrell Simpson coming to us live from Houston before he jumps on his Christmas cruise ship. But, you know, there's dedication and then there's Cottrell's effort this morning. Cottrell, how are you feeling this morning? I know you're tired.
I'm feeling good, you know, long travel day, but, you know, the show must go on. We got a lot to talk about. So, you know, I'm ready to go. You know, I couldn't miss this week with you guys. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, again, another crazy week in the college football landscape. Mr. Headbanger himself from the West Coast, Alex Elmore, Black Elmore. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm good, man, with some great news I heard this week, and you can call me Dante Elmore this week because that's who we landed this week. I'm super excited. I know, play on words. What can I say? Couldn't help myself this morning. As you can tell, I'm in a wonderful mood. This whole week has been nothing but Oregon Duck. Great news. And I'm excited to discuss some transfer portal news, talk about Bowl Mania, and get into those previews. I'm excited to talk about a few upset possibilities this weekend. So let's get into it, boys.
Yeah, so listen, crazy jam-packed show today. Cottrell's got to be at the gate at a certain time so he doesn't miss his boat, and we don't want any Titanic situations or anything like that. So
absolutely not.
We're going to try to get through it today. Obviously, Wednesday was early signing National Letter of Intent Day. A lot of big news there. I would say quite a few surprises, a couple flips. A couple people ended up staying where we thought they were going to go. There's sign gate with one of Cottrell's guys. We're not sure he signed the paper, if he did or if he didn't. Some people said it came in. Other people are still saying it hasn't arrived. We'll get into that. And then obviously more portal news. And one of the biggest dominoes that there was fell. And Alex already shed a little bit of light to it with his pun and his play on words. But Dante Moore is an Oregon Duck, and that was one of the biggest 5-star dominoes off the board. So we got to get into that, and then we have about 3,200 previews to do. We're not going to spend a lot of time on all of them because we got a ton of games during the week. Big slate Saturday, and then we got to do everything for next week before we come back on next week. Before we really start getting into the big games and the New Year's Six Day and obviously the college football playoff games. So. We're going to start right out of the bat. We're going to start with, I believe we're starting with early signing day, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are.
So I, for one, had a very relaxed day for once. Usually there's people coming down to the end, for us. And the 27 guys that we offered that we were expecting to signed. We were tied for fourth with 18th, the fourth most blue chippers. Very quiet. Very unstressful day for Michigan fans. So I have no complaints. Jordan Marshall got up early, signed. Jaden Davis signed even earlier than he did. Got a great group of offensive linemen coming in from all over the country. Very relaxing day for me. I was very thankful for that. It's kind of an early Christmas present for me. Oregon Ducks made a couple splashes besides Dante Moore. Couple flips at the end. Splashes. And Ohio State, like I said, anywhere from the second to the fourth ranked class, depending on what website you're on. Another successful day for the Buckeyes. Got to give them credit. They do always recruit. Cottrell, I know, was sweating the one. Thought the one guy might get flipped at the very end, and then we'll get into Signgate. The more I watch the video, the more I laugh at it because it is clear that he did not sign that piece of paper. So, Cottrell, I want
to get right into it. So, I mean, obviously, like with Ohio State, Jeremiah McClellan ultimately ended up flipping. He's a 4-star receiver. He was originally, committed to us, and he ended up flipping to go to Oregon. So, I'm sure Alex is pretty happy.
Very smart young man.
Pretty happy about that. I will say though, of all the players that ended up flipping from Ohio State, I'm okay with that one because in our class we still had Mylan Graham, who was a 5-star, rated ahead of Jeremiah, and then Jeremiah Smith, who was the number one prospect in pretty much any recruiting website that you go on. He's the number one prospect in the entire country. He's a 6'4" receiver. He's got 4.3 speed, and I said on previous shows, I know he was, thinking about potentially flipping to Florida State or Miami. I thought that Jeremiah Smith is a receiver prospect that could go anywhere in the country and start day one. And I 100% believe that. So him ultimately, staying with the Buckeyes, and although it was a crazy effort there, it was you see the video, he put the hat on, everything looked all good. And then you dive deeper in that video, you realize that, hey, your name's Jeremiah Smith. How do you get through your whole signature in one stroke of the pen? And then, it goes on, and 8:30 Eastern time comes around, and they're like, Ohio State still hasn't received his actual facts yet, with that national letter of intent. But it's all through now. It's all signed. He's officially a Buckeye. And I got to give Ryan Day credit too, because the other 5-star that we were really worried about was Edric, which was a edge guy, and he's another 5-star. Alabama had flipped him. There were reports coming out he had actually a crystal ball on signing day. They go to Alabama, and when everything came out, he still ended up signing with Ohio State. So that was a huge get. No real surprises. We didn't flip anyone, but just being able to retain what we had was a huge, huge success for that Ohio State team. So great job there, Buckeyes. I'm very happy with how this class turned out for us.
I think I'm not going to say he doesn't end up on campus. I think the noise around him is going to continue to be there until you actually get him on campus in the fall.
January. No, he'll be there in January.
Is he early enrolling?
Yeah, he graduated early. He's supposed to be there like a week after I think January 11th is when 15 of our 20 recruits that signed this past Wednesday are supposed to be early enrollees. So we're pretty confident where he's at.
Yeah, we already have 9 guys on campus as well. That whole situation is hilarious to me.
Nuts, absolutely nuts.
But again, another good day for the Buckeyes. Alex's Ducks did manage to flip one of the receivers, but if there's one position group in the world that there's going to be depth at Ohio State, it's going to be the wide receiver room. I don't think they're going to miss them. But that being said, still a good get for the Ducks. Alex, tell me about Oregon had a very very high profile kind of a splashy day.
Number 4, man. Number 4 recruiting class this year. I think ranking is as if that's up to date right now.
Yep.
As far as the top recruit that I love right now is Elijah Rushing. The fact that we were able to lock him down right away. 6'6", great speed, great length on his arms. He's going to be probably a starter from day one, honestly, from out of Tucson. Number 17 player in the country. He signed. We're good to go with him. And then we had some great transfers. Kobe Savage from Kansas State. He's coming in as safety, and I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Name.
Yeah, right. Like if it's Savage, I think you should change it to make it French, man. Like it's just going to be either way. It's a dope name. But no, I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, the Dante Moore signing, it really shows his maturity. I was kind of in the group chat with you guys. I was saying how he's just looking somewhere to go to start. That's the reason he left Oregon in the first place to go to UCLA is he wanted to be a day one starter. He kind of had an immature mindset. Then he went to UCLA and got a dose of reality. Had some early success, and then got smacked in the mouth once he came into the heart of the schedule of that Pac-12 and faced some better defensive teams. And he didn't have the results he wanted. So now I think he's matured up. He's wizened up. He's coming back to Oregon where he knew he felt at home. And he's going to sit a year. And he even said in the interview he wants to learn. He's willing to be that backup to Gabriel and learn the game and learn from him. And whether he decides to redshirt or not, I think that mindset is exactly what the Oregon Ducks need for their future. And I'm actually really excited to have him on the team and see what he can do.
I will say too, Bill, I know you're going to go and talk about some of Michigan's class here as well. I just wanted to spotlight just some of the key moves that have happened. KJ Bolden ended up flipping from Florida State going to Georgia. That's a huge get for Georgia. They had already had Ellis Robinson the fourth going there. He was the number one corner in the country. So Georgia getting the number one corner and then flipping the number one safety and, solidifying themselves as the number one team in the recruiting process for 2024. That's huge for them. Bill, I know we had talked, in our group message as well about all the rumors surrounding Georgia and Kirby Smart potentially looking to go to the NFL. And while I don't want to say you can officially put all those rumors to bed, I do think there was something that went on along behind the scenes there where those players that committed to Georgia felt very comfortable where that Georgia program is at right now. So got to give the Bulldogs all the credit in the world. Obviously, they only lost one game this year, but for them to come back and be as successful as they were in the recruiting process, especially after having, some players flip and all the rumors come out, got to give Kirby Smart a lot of credit there.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby kept everybody home, that he was supposed to. The only thing I'll say is, I'm not saying Kirby's lying to anybody, but as of right now, he probably thinks that he is staying. I think with any of those things, when you start hearing it, and then you saw, which was very uncharacteristic for Georgia since he's been there, you saw a lot of really good players in the portal from Georgia, which was that is not a normal thing for the Bulldog program. So that kind of fueled the speculation a little bit. And then obviously, I think if you're a Bulldog fan, you got to be a little bit concerned it's not coming from Kirby's side. It's coming, the leaks that have kind of come out so far have come out from, higher ups in Atlanta. So again, not saying he's going to take the job, and I'm not saying he's going to be the Falcons head coach. I can tell you that he's probably going to be interviewed, and I can tell you that, or they're at least going to try to interview him. He's definitely on the list, though. Some of that stuff, like I said, that has come out already. He's definitely a target for the Falcons. I think it's all but said and done at this point. That Arthur Smith's probably going to get fired at the end of the season. So that I think is still a little bit, in a wait and see kind of mode, because I don't think Kirby's, like I said, I don't think Kirby's lying to the kids. I think Kirby's telling them as of right now, like I fully intend to be the head coach next year, and it's probably the truth.
Right.
A lot can change in the next month, because in the next month, NFL season is going to end, and then you have Black Monday, and I think Black Monday is going to be a very busy Monday this year. We've talked about it on Wire to Wire. I mean, Adam Schefter said it again a couple of days ago. He's predicting double digits. He thinks it's 10 or more guys that are going to lose their jobs. So, and for that to come true and be the case, I think Arthur Smith would have to be one of them. But that being said, Bolden is a stud. He's top 10 across the board overall on every recruiting website. So another good get for them. And they're just kind of in that Alabama mode now, man. They just don't rebuild. They just kind of reload. I don't think they've had anything worse than the second or third ranked class since Kirby's been there. So good day for Georgia. Texas had a surprisingly strong day. Oklahoma, weird day. They've had I think we've talked about Texas A&M, and we just talked about Georgia. Oklahoma in the last week has had a mass exodus of people leave that program, and then they turn around.
All 5 starting offensive linemen are gone.
Yeah, and then they turn around and sign like the number 2 or number 3 class. So weird week for Brett Venables and the Sooner program. You think they're kind of making progress, and like Alex just said, you're going into next year with your prized recruit a quarterback, and you're going to rebuild a brand new offensive line in front of him. That is not ideal. And oh, by the way, you're playing in the SEC next year. Not an ideal situation there. But like I said, I think all three of us are very happy with how yesterday went. I like I said, I certainly have no complaints. Everybody that was important for us, like I said, we didn't have one kid defect. So, and then we still got irons in the oven for the portal, which we can talk about now. We'll just segue right into it.
Yeah.
Damani Jackson, I think, is going to visit with the team. I think once they got to California, it's very common knowledge that Michigan was down to USC and Michigan when he originally committed to the Trojans. He's best friends with Will Johnson. I would say didn't have the greatest year by any means, especially for being a 5-star kid.
Good year. I mean,
yeah.
It's tough though. Like, I mean, even if you are a good corner, like you're on that USC defense, like you get no pass rush behind you.
Correct.
You're going to be, on your own island. Like even the plays that you excel on, if they're going 7-8 seconds, like you're going to still look bad at the end of the day. So I think with Domani, all the talent in the world is there. I think him getting away from USC will be good for him. I think whatever conference he goes to, I think he will be a first-team all-conference selection. I think he has a shot at being potentially a preseason All-American. And, I think the sky is the limit for him. I will say that. Getting out of USC will be good for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't know anybody who looked good on the USC defense last year. Let's just be honest about it.
Hey, speaking of USC's defense, I know, Bill, you're about to jump into it too, but they picked up a couple big names. It looks like hiring that defensive coordinator from UCLA is already paying off, with the UCLA's safety Kamari Ramsey switching over, as well as defensive back John Humphrey also switching over to USC. So that should already improve their USC secondary. So, like I said, former UCLA defensive coordinator already pulling his weight and getting some top-notch guys to add to that USC defense, and hopefully they're trying to improve it going into the Big Ten next year, or whatever they're going to call it, the conference.
I'm glad that you brought that up though, because I think the big thing for me is that with USC, all of their high-profile recruits from either last year, the last 2 years at least, are a lot of those guys are either going to the NFL this year or in the portal. So, I know we're talking about the portal now. Malachi Nelson being in the portal, he was number 1 quarterback rated from last year's class. And so that's huge for them. The other thing with USC is that with this 2024 class, yes, they did get some names and they've already got some commits, but they're ranked 18th right now in terms of what that 2024 class looks like. So I don't want to say I was surprised, but I was I'll just say it. I was surprised that their class ended up being that low, especially because of how hot of a spot USC is. The NIL money is there. Lincoln Riley's there. Like, that should be a top 10 recruiting program every single year, year in and year out. So for them to be at 18 with all the guys transferring out, I kind of think USC might be in a little bit of trouble moving forward.
So they actually talked about this on ESPN. USC was kind of in a I don't want to say a weird situation, but they were kind of in the same boat as Michigan. They had a huge class last year with Malachi and all those guys that came in, and they didn't have to have as big a class this year. They could be more selective, kind of picking their holes and picking the situation where they wanted to. The problem is, I don't think, like you just said, I don't think they anticipated a Damani Jackson, Malachi, and all those guys leaving, and now it's a problem because now you're bringing in a small class. You can't expect all of them to contribute right away, and a lot of your experienced guys that you were counting on to be, sophomores or true third-year juniors upcoming in this next year, they're gone. That is, Listen, all really good college football teams. Once in a while, you get the old team that like the TCU last year where they had so many seniors. But the majority of the teams that are very good and very elite is when those heralded classes come in and they take the jump from their sophomore to their junior years. When the majority of your skill players and your quarterback and your secondary, when those kids all become juniors, they mature a little bit more physically. They're in a system for 3 years now. That's when you see these teams take the big leaps. USC is now staring at a bunch of holes, for kids that they thought were going to be there that are not going to be there. I know they lost Alex did bring up a good point. They brought 2 kids in, but I can't think of his name. The really good defensive tackle they had, he entered the portal now too, and he's leaving. God, his name's escaping me, but I'll find it. But listen, Lincoln Riley's another guy, man. His name is going to be brought up when these head coach jobs come up for the NFL. Haven't heard anything like that I heard with Kirby, but it's getting to that time of year, especially once the bowl games are over. I guarantee you. I mean, I know the hardball stuff's going to be out there.
Already is linked
Yeah,
to the Chargers right now.
Yeah, I mean that's one guy that is just not credible at all. But I mean that is the natural.
True.
It's going to be out there. I mean, it's you're just used to it at this point.
Herbert, great quarterback, great team. Of course, they're going to link him to Harbaugh. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Correct.
Bill, the USC edge rusher you're talking about is Corey Foreman, I believe, is the one you're speaking about.
That's him. He's portal. He's in the portal now. So, I don't think this is the turbulent offseason that Lincoln Riley wanted, going in to join the Big Ten next year. Because you're going against, you're going to be going against, Michigan. Depending on who comes back from Michigan, the offense is going to be what it's going to be. The defense is going to be absolutely. The defense next year will be better than it is this year, and that's the scary part there. Ohio State's going to be better. Penn State's going to be another year better. Oregon, Oregon's in a good spot to not miss a step now with what they've done in the portal and getting a quarterback. Not the year you just want to come in the first year in the Big Ten and just kind of be sitting in the middle of the standings, and I feel like that's what it might be for USC. Go
ahead, finish your point, Bill.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's, I think it's there's a lot of teams that I think we weren't counting on being in peculiar situations per se that are now. And I think there's other teams that have done a good job and are looking in real good shape for next year. But it is, the portal. I mean, the portal's out of control, but that's another conversation for another day. But
that's kind of where I'm glad I did let you go there, because I think that's a great way to kind of get into what I was going to say. The portal is 100% out of control, and I think, we talk about USC being in a bad spot. I want to talk about a team that's in a kind of a good spot right now. Ole Miss has quietly put together a great transfer portal class, and they also, recruited decent. They're not a top 10 team in terms of what the rankings are right now, but them bringing in, they got the top player in JUCO right now. Walter Nolan has a crystal ball to them. Jackson Dart is going to be coming back next year. Like, I think Ole Miss, obviously,
they got Juice Wells too.
Juice Wells is another great get for them. We've talked about him multiple times throughout this show. I think Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, I'm never going to, vouch for a Lane Kiffin team being the favorite in a conference, but just with the talent alone that they have, Ole Miss is a team that can compete with just about anybody next season. Like, I think you can almost pencil in Ole Miss to go to the college football playoff, even if it's without an SEC championship. Like, I think Ole Miss loses without looking at their schedule. I haven't looked at their 2024 schedule, but if you look at their roster, I think they lose one game max next year.
I can agree with that. I got Jackson Dart on my top Heisman list, and this is the reason why. I mean, he's coming back. He's aged. He's been in the program. They're getting great signings right now. I mean,
they flipped the kid from Florida. The Princey, they got him from Florida. They got, Walsh Nolan's expected to go there. Their D-line is
Oregon's still on the list. Don't forget about Oregon still being one of the top two remaining. It was between Ole Miss and Oregon for Walter Nolan. Was the last report that I saw.
100% crystal ball to Ole Miss. So it's not official yet. He hasn't signed anything, but
then it's not official.
It's safe to say he's going to.
Not official, not happening.
He's probably going to Ole Miss. I'm going to pump the brakes on all this just in regards to Ole Miss wasn't, lacking for talent before. Obviously, they've now gone out and got a couple more big names, but
you're doing it because of Lane Kiffin, though. Like, that's correct. The reality.
Lane Kiffin's still got to coach him. Lane Kiffin's got to go out on a Saturday and still go across the sideline from Nick Saban and beat him. He's got to cross a lot, the sideline from Kirby Smart and beat him. It's you still got to go. You got to go put it all together. But I mean, if you're an Ole Miss fan, I mean, it's about the happiest you've probably been in a long time. If you want to be optimistic,
had DK and AJ Brown on the same team.
If you want to be optimistic and looking forward to the 2024 season, this was a great 2 weeks for you if you're an Ole Miss fan. So, Mentioned Florida there too. Florida did not have a good day. Florida lost a couple kids. I think I guess I put Billy Napier on the hot seat a little too early. I think every time I thought it was just about look like he's going to lose this game that you can, and then you pull the win out. I think this upcoming year is definitely going to be it for him. If he can't make that team competitive, 6-6 is not going to fly in Gainesville. It just doesn't. And it shouldn't. That team is a perennial powerhouse. That is a blue blood program. If they are not better next year, he will not be there. And Wednesday was not the best day for them. They were borderline top 5, for a couple months leading in, and then all the leaks started coming out. This kid's probably going to flip. This kid's probably going to flip, and then they didn't really save any of them. The 3 or 4 kids they thought they were going to lose, they lost all of them. Miami stole one. I think Florida State stole one. Ole Miss stole one, and I can't remember where the other kid went, but it might have been A&M. Maybe it was Texas. I forget. But that program is in a very weird state right now. And I think he's got 6 months to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. Cottrell, I think you might be on mute, my man.
Cottrell's working on his mime game.
Teach him some sign language. Nope, not working. He's like, I'll be back. I'll be back, boys.
But let's get into your stuff, because listen, the biggest portal news of the week by far. I mean, like I said, Nolan's not signed yet, but Dante Moore. I mean, I just want to touch on that again really quick. That it still surprises me. Not that he went to Oregon. Not that Oregon's not good or anything like that. It's just shocking to me that he. And maybe this is part of the problem in UCLA. I'm not sure. Maybe this is why he got benched there.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's back. But going out of his way to say, I'll come in here and I'll be the backup, and I'll compete and be ready if Dylan gets hurt. But I know when the news broke, me and Cottrell had the same reaction. I was just still shocked that he just gave up a year of playing. Just to.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
we can.
Okay, cool.
So that's what brought up the red shirt thing.
Real quick before I know you guys are talking about Dante now. The one thing that I did want to say is that with Florida, I 100% agree with you, Bill. They lost a lot of guys who were important to that program, but them still being able to land one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the class and DJ Lagway, I do think that will be important for them. Obviously, Graham Mertz is projected to come back this year after that injury. I don't know if that's a guy who I would build around. I know he had a good season this year, but them getting DJ Lagway, I do think that is still a great get for them. Maybe that buys Billy Napier an extra season, but Florida definitely had a disappointing day. And then just kind of bringing it back to what you guys are talking about right now, I agree. I was very surprised that Dante Moore ultimately ended up committing to Oregon, just because I did not expect him, especially in this day and age, to essentially just, bow out and accept being a backup quarterback this year. I understand being developed and things like that, but I was not expecting him to willingly go into a spot. I think it's one thing if you go somewhere and a guy like, let's say, Oklahoma, for example, Jackson Arnold is projected to be their starting quarterback this year. But if you go in knowing that you can compete with who that guy is supposed to be, I think that's a completely different ball game. Going to Oregon, Dylan Gabriel is a 5th, 6th-year senior at this point. He's going to be the starter. And so while I give Dante credit, because it takes a lot to accept that, hey, I know I'm not going to be the guy this year, and, I'm just going to learn a lot, absorb what I can, and then ultimately try to be that guy moving forward. I was just surprised to see that in this day and age of the NIL being where it's at, plus, just guys being in college 3 years, especially with him having that starter experience already at the P5 level.
Well, the thing about Dante Moore is this, all the reports I'm seeing coming out of the Oregon camp is that he's going to redshirt. So he's not going to lose that year of eligibility. And like I said, it may be up in the air as far as what your guys' opinions may be, but the reports I'm seeing that's what the plan is that he'll redshirt and then be available for the 4 games or whatever that he's eligible for. And then he'll keep his eligibility for the remaining of his years, and then he'll take over the reins after next season, which I think is a great move. He gets to learn under Dylan Gabriel, who, like you said, has 6 years of college experience. Who better to learn from? He's also got a mobility side to him, so a great person for Dante to learn from as well. When to learn from, when to run, when to tuck and run, when to pass, when to throw it away. I mean, who better to learn from than Dylan Gabriel? They have very similar play styles. Obviously, Dan Lanning is crazy about both these guys. He's been recruiting Dante Moore since high school. I mean, he wants Dante Moore there. I think Dante Moore felt that when he visited Dan Lanning in Oregon, here a couple weeks ago. I think he felt that need, and he saw the program, he saw the facilities. He was reminded why he loved Oregon in the first place, and that's why he chose to come back. End of story. I can't wait till 2025 and beyond, because we're going to be taking the Big Ten by storm.
Alex, the thing is that you don't have to sell me on why Dante Moore ultimately decided to go to Oregon. Like I understand that part of it. The part that, and even him redshirting, like, I don't think the year of eligibility in the bigger picture is even, that big of a deal, because regardless, we've seen year in, year out, you have that one good year at the collegiate level and you show teams what you can do, you can go be a first round pick. Hell, you can go be the first pick in the NFL draft. So, like, I don't think that part of it is specifically, what I'm worried about, I guess. I'm just saying a lot of people, especially in Dante Moore's position, that have as much talent as he does, even if it was him going to a school like Cal or maybe even a Washington State, or like that's replacing Cam Moore, like something like that, usually you see these guys take a role that they know they can go be a starter as opposed to being a backup learning. So big, I want to give Dante Moore a lot of credit for being mature enough to realize that, that's what he needs to do in this situation. I'm just saying that's not even close to what the norm is. And that's, if we're being honest, as far as the transfer portal goes, that's probably 5% of what kids are going to do in that exact spot. You're getting ready player of the year. You're going to a school where you can go be the starter for the next 2 years. And then after that, third year of your true junior year, you're going to the NFL and, figuring it out from there.
I agree. I mean, I think it's again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it was just more of of shock and surprise more than anything. Like I said, a 5-star kid that we all thought was going to go somewhere where he's going to step on campus and, conceivably play right away.
All I got to say, Bill, is that whoever he talked to that convinced him this was the right move, because he didn't make this decision on his own. Whoever he spoke to, whoever gave him advice, was thinking about this kid's future and told him what he needed to hear, that he, just like Cottrell said, he needs a year behind someone experienced before he takes over a team. And I think that whoever he spoke to gave him the best advice that he could have ever gotten. And I think it's going to benefit him in the long run 100%.
No, I agree. All right. So we're done with portal. We are done with National
Bill,
Signing Day. What's up?
Before we move on, I just want to real quick just bring up the name. We talked about him briefly. Malachi Nelson being in the portal and not having as much interest as I was expecting. I'm very worried about the kid's future. I know Cal and TCU and he has some Power 5 teams that are interested in him. He was the number 1 quarterback in the class of 2023, and one of his biggest suitors, like his top 5 suitors, is Tulane. I have a lot of questions there. For me, obviously with Ohio State being where they are, their starting quarterback already transferred to a different school. I don't know how a lot of these Power 5 schools aren't looking at him. What is it about him that doesn't have him being recruited?
All right, so I'll reiterate a little bit of what I said on Wednesday, because I still think that's part of it. Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, they all have either a possibility of either really strong incumbents coming back that they're not going to know about yet, or they already have kids that are in the class that they were waiting on to see how everything went on Wednesday. It might be an example of, we don't know what went on behind the scenes at USC. So you don't know what's coming out of there. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go out of the way to badmouth the kid, but was it a situation where it was like Dante Moore, where maybe he had a little bit of an attitude and, somebody's got to sit him down and be like, you got to be more coachable. You got to be this, you got to be that. I also think once these bowl games finish up and there's other decisions made and things of that nature, I think you're going to see him get more interest from bigger teams. Obviously, we signed Jaden Davis. You guys have Air coming in. I think there was a lot of teams that needed to see where all the dust was going to settle after Wednesday, make sure they got the kids they wanted to get, and then go from there.
Right.
I can't see him going. I can't see Tulane or TCU being the ceiling for him. That would blow my mind. It really would. But it's I think you'll get more clarity on him, like I said, in the next week to 10 days. I think once some of these schools are done playing and they can really sit down and start forecasting where they're going to be next year and what they want. And I'll tell you this though, he's going to have to, if he wants to go to a big school, he's going to have to go in knowing he's competing against somebody. I mean, like even if it's our situation, like if JJ decides not to come back, we have 2 or 3 kids that are already happy with, plus Jaden Davis is coming in. Like he's not going to walk into Ohio State and start, or just be given the job anyway. I mean, so
right.
And then there's the NIL crap, dude. I don't know how much money he's asking for. Like who knows? I mean, you kids showing up to their signings yesterday in Lamborghinis. Like it is absolutely outrageous and out of control. So I think once we get clarity on a lot of that stuff, then I think you'll start seeing a move. Maybe he goes to Florida State. Even I saw somebody else mention Clemson. I think there's enough. There's definitely enough chairs at the table. It's just a matter of what he wants to pick, and a matter of what he's looking for money wise and how much he wants to compete. So he is, I would say he's the most intriguing name left on the board for sure. Because like I said, Nolan, I think we all agree he's going to go to Ole Miss. I know Alex.
No, I don't agree.
I know. But
I don't agree. Hold on.
But who knows? But I mean, I would, like Cottrell said, I mean, he was, to a lot of people, he's the number 1 rated overall prospect in the entire class last year. So for that kid to not have a better offer than, Cal and TCU and stuff like that.
Right now, his best offer is South Carolina. Like that was the team that showed the most interest. Like the biggest school was South Carolina. And to me, I'm like, really? Like he had every offer under the sun last year. And now South Carolina is the only school that's like the biggest, I shouldn't say the only, but the biggest school to really have interest in this kid. Like that says a lot to me.
I'm surprised Washington maybe isn't in on the. Oh no, they went. No, what's his face?
Will Rogers.
I'm surprised
Will
Florida's
Rogers.
not making a move.
They're
desperate.
No, I mean they have
Graham
for this
Mertz
year
is coming back.
And then
Yeah,
they
but
got
Graham
DJ
Mertz. Come
Lively
on,
for next year.
do you hear what you just said? Graham Mertz.
I know. No.
I get it, but
listen.
if Graham isn't going to play this year, then the kid they're bringing in, you're going to let him play and then take his licks this year. That's what I mean. You're not bringing Malachi in just to play some one weird off year. That's what I mean. I mean, you look at all the big schools, like they're all very intriguing situations. Like Ohio State has a kid that they just signed. Michigan has maybe a 4-year starter coming back, or they have a kid on campus. Plus, they just signed another 4-star. Alabama's going to have a starter. Their starter's coming back next year. Georgia's starter's coming back next year. Oregon has 2 kids on campus now.
I will say this too. Jalen Milroe. This is my hot take. I know Jalen Milroe's coming back. Let him struggle like how he did this past year. By week 3, you are going to see a very similar situation to what you saw with Kelly Bryant and the Trevor Lawrence. Julian Sand is that guy. He can start day one. He has that much talent. Now I don't know if he can read a collegiate defense, to that same level right away. Pure talent, Julian Sand can throw the ball all over God's creation, whatever way he wants to. Like I'm so high on Julian Sand, best quarterback in the class. Forget Rayola, forget Air, forget Jaden Davis. Julian Sand is that quarterback. First pick, 20 class of what year would that be? 2026, 2027.
Man.
First pick off the board for me.
I don't disagree. I mean, and I think they will try to get him playing time next year. Yeah, I mean, we got to see what he does in a couple of weeks against Michigan, and we got to see how he starts the year next year. I'm not going to get into this too much right now. I mean, but for as much as he was kind of left for dead in the middle of the beginning of the season, and deservedly so. I think the praise he's getting now, I think, is still a little out of whack, because you look at 3 of the last 4 games he played, he didn't play well. He had a couple really good drives against Georgia, played awful against Auburn. We all saw the South Florida game. I think he's getting too much praise now, but yeah, if you do follow the recruiting, and we'll talk a lot about that stuff, obviously, once the season's over. But the kid Julian is for all intents and purposes, he's special. And I will go on record here. I said it in the chat, and I will say it again now. I think Raiola is going to be a bust. You call it a gut feeling, and call it just the more I looked at his tape compared to everybody else's, I think there's a gap, and I'll leave it at that. It is, we didn't talk about that either. I mean, that was a big get for Nebraska. That was another huge thing that came out when that flip became official. Georgia lost to him. Not really surprising, though. The kid's been committed to 4 different schools. So
he wasted everybody's time there. When he originally flipped from Ohio State, I thought all along he was going to go to Nebraska. His uncle works there. The family name at Nebraska is huge. I think for him, it was really just ironing out the NIL deal and him realizing that Nebraska is going to be serious contenders in terms of recruiting. Nebraska got some big gets. They got some people to flip. And, for Raiola, I think his ultimate goal was to end up at Nebraska. So I think he's a kid that I hate kind of talking about some of these kids because they are in high school. Like, I don't want to, just demean their character, but like, just the way that he's going about things, I think he's always wanted to be the guy that was in the spotlight. He wants things to be about him. And I think that's ultimately why he committed to Georgia, because as soon as he flipped from Ohio State, everybody in the country knew that we at least felt that Nebraska was going to be his final landing spot. So I think it was a lot of theatrics with him going to Georgia and going through that whole entire process. Because, nothing's changed with Georgia. He would have got all the money. Georgia has the number 1 signing class. Carson Beck, he's coming back, but the job would have been his to take over in 2025. Like, nothing changed in terms of what Georgia looks like. So I just think Raiola is a kid that is getting bad advice or bad publicity from those around him.
I don't think it's bad advice per se. I mean, I think it's tough when you take a kid and say, like, hey, you're going to go to you go away to school, and you're going to be around at least familiar people, and you're going to be around some people in your family. I think that's always a very secure thing to fall back on, because again, at the end of the day, he's an 18-year-old kid. To double down on what you said, though, I agree. I think he wants to be a big fish in a small pond type kid. I think you're seeing it already with Nebraska. Like, he's being, lauded as like the savior of Nebraska football now. He's going to be a big man on campus. There's nothing around Nebraska but Nebraska football, and that is why Nebraska football is unique and special. And again, another blue blood program. Matt Rule is going to turn that program around, and when he does, it's going to be good for college football. Nebraska being good at football is good for college football. It's going to make the Big Ten better, makes everybody's life on this show right now better. But I don't think he wants, kind of like what Charles said, I think he wants the limelight to come to him a little bit easier than it would other places. Obviously, if you go to Georgia, or you go to Ohio State, or you go somewhere like that, you're the star quarterback. You get a lot of the light, but you still got Marvin Harrison Jr. out there. You still got, Georgia. You still got, probably 5 or 6 kids on the defense that are going round one. It's a lot to share. He is going to be the biggest fish in a small pond, especially for the first couple of years there until Matt Rule really turns that roster over. And I think that's what he wanted, and that's what he got, and that's fine. Just kind of like what Charles said, though, I don't think you need to waste everybody's time before that, though. We heard rumors of this up to 6 months ago. As soon as his uncle got hired there, everybody inevitably knew come Wednesday this is where we were going to end up, and that's where we ended up. So good for him. Like I said, I wish him luck, and
for sure.
He's going to start next year. I mean, once that became official, I think the other 2 quarterbacks that had any kind of playing time went in the portal right away. And it's going to be his show next year. It's going to be a lot of growing pains because that conference I've obviously got undeniably tougher with the 4 Pac-12 schools coming. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year this is a very, for not for nothing, it's a very highly touted quarterback class this year. You have Air, you have Jane Davis, you have Raiola, you have what's the face we just talked about? Julian Sang going to Alabama. There's a couple other kids. I mean, it is a very it is a very highly touted quarterback class this year. So, just the odds are at least one of them is going to be a bust. So it's a matter of if you're all those schools, you're counting your cards and hoping you're not the one. But time will tell. Time will tell. But we spent a lot of time on all this stuff. Let's get into previews because we legit have 32 of them to get through. Some of these obviously we are not going to spend a lot of time on, and that is no disrespect to anybody. Because by the time we come back on air next Saturday, we have all the ones from this Saturday, and at the end of next week, you start getting into a lot of the bigger programs, getting into their games. So we do want to touch on some of the bigger bowl games as well. And then we'll come back next Saturday, and it'll be a real fun show. New Year's 6 day, obviously preview, and obviously the college football playoff preview. So rumor is Cottrell will not be off his boat. So we will have a special guest host with myself and iBlack next week. So don't let the cat out of the bag too quick, but we will be here. And so before we get off tonight, we will get College Cottrell's official college football playoff picks and all that good stuff. So we will start here.
Sure.
We'll start with Tony the Tiger Bowl, El Paso, Texas, Oregon State, Beavers.
Don't mind the records here either,
Oh yeah, that's my bad, y'all.
Not the case. It happens.
Yeah.
Don't mind the records. Great game though. Great game.
If Notre Dame was 11-1, they would not be in this bowl. Oregon State Beavers versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I don't want to say. I mean, I feel like both teams probably feel a little disappointed to be in this bowl, and that's natural. But that's just the way the old cookie crumbles with the college football playoff. Only taking 4. Notre Dame. I believe Sam Hartman has opted out.
He's out.
Yep.
I know his teammate he opted out as well. DJU is obviously in the portal. He is not going to play. Is Martinez going to play? I haven't seen anything about him. He's out.
He is not. He is coming back next year to play for Oregon State Beavers, but he got arrested a few weeks back, and he is serving a suspension from the university for that fact.
It's probably a smart move, to be honest.
Well, what happened was he got arrested. They then suspended him. Then they unsuspended him, and then they resuspended him again. So it's a whole weird thing going on.
Oregon State is in a weird spot where they probably wanted to suspend him for this bowl game because they're like, in reality, this bowl game doesn't matter. We'd rather have you for the full season next year. If we suspend you for the bowl game, the NCAA won't come down on us, and then we can just, figure it out next year when the time comes. So,
correct.
Honestly, this is really sad about what the transfer portal is. Like, this game could have been such a great game. Like, if both teams fully locked and loaded, DJU starting, Sam Hartman, Audric Estime was coming in, Martinez was, not suspended and playing, Velling was still on the Beavers. I mean, all of Notre Dame's defensive pieces were playing. This would be a legit matchup to watch. The Beavers are starting Ben Goldbranson as quarterback. He was the third string entering this year. He is experienced, though. He played in last year's Vegas Bowl, leading the Beavers to a 30-3 victory against Florida. He is a dual threat quarterback who had over 200 yards rushing against that Florida defense last year in that bowl game. So expect a lot of him on the ground, especially without Martinez playing. And then we're going to see how that Notre Dame defense looks with a couple of key pieces out. But they said they're still a top 25 unit. So, excuse me, I think this will be a good game. I think Notre Dame takes care of business heavy here.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame as well.
Good.
I'll be quick here, Bill, because I know you got some stuff to talk about. But I got Notre Dame here as well with Oregon State. Obviously DJ's not playing because he's in the portal. Aiden Childs, which was their backup quarterback, is already committed to Michigan State, so he won't be playing in this game either. Daniel Martinez not being there. Oregon State's offense was already showing you that they were Jekyll and Hyde pretty much all season with those top guys. So I don't expect them to play this Notre Dame team and put up a lot of points in this game. I think this is kind of an uglier game. I don't know exactly what the over-under is at, but I'd feel inclined, without knowing that number, to be very confident in taking the under. I think Notre Dame dominates the time of possession here. It's a very run-heavy game. Notre Dame, they ran 7 running backs pretty much all season. So I like Notre Dame here. I think they control the time of possession. And I think Oregon State struggles to put the ball in the end zone.
And the over-under is 41.5, by the way, just to throw that out there.
It's probably a pretty good number. I agree with both you gentlemen, though. I think Oregon State is just – I feel like this is a very going through the motions type thing for them. They're going to go. They're going to show up. They're going to get their check. Hope nobody gets hurt. Martinez, like I said, isn't playing. Obviously, their head coach left. Cachel's mentioned another very good quarterback we didn't bring up when we were talking about other stuff. Aiden Childs going to Michigan State, another highly touted kid, followed his coach there. Obviously, I know a couple big names for Notre Dame aren't going to be there, but their depth, and like Alex said, they still have a top 20, top 25 defense. I think that wins out here. I do think it's probably a lower scoring game, a lot of ground and pound. You're not going to see a lot of crazy stuff. I'll just take the depth and the experience of Notre Dame here. So I'll go Notre Dame as well, make it a clean sweep.
Did get some frosted flakes dumped on Marcus Freeman's head.
They're great. So we got the Valero Alamo Bowl down in San Antonio, Texas. 9-3 Arizona, 10-2 Oklahoma Sooners. We've already talked about Oklahoma. Their quarterback is gone. They're all
Jackson Arnold show, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really. That is. I will say this. I feel really strongly about who's going to win this game. But the reason I'm going to tune in to watch this game is for that. So that being said, I'm still going with Arizona. Arizona is debatably the hottest team in the country. Finished the year 6 straight wins. To my knowledge, they have no opt-outs or anything like that. They're going there with their full squad. Oklahoma is going to be starting a whole bunch of new people in a whole bunch of positions. Defense already had issues towards the end of the year again. I like Arizona here, and this is probably one of my stronger plays of the entire bowl season.
I mean, yeah, I would completely agree with that. Arizona, Oklahoma on paper, again, this is another matchup that I think would have been phenomenal. Again, really affected by the transfer portal. And Noah Fafita came in, did his thing. In his last game against Arizona State, threw for 527 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, he's really came through as the leader of this Arizona offense, and honestly, one of the top quarterbacks to look out for going into next season. Arizona had 3 losses this season. All 3 of them were by 1 possession, all winnable games. This team is, one score away from potentially being 12-0. That's how good this Arizona team is. Just like Bill said, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of changing of the guard for Oklahoma going into this game. Obviously, Oklahoma fans are excited to be able to take a look at their new starting quarterback, Jackson Arnold, and see what he's looking like. But realistically, when it comes to Jackson Arnold, for me, I'm just hoping that he makes it out of the game unhurt and unscathed, because that new offensive line, possibly not a lot of chemistry together yet. So hopefully they're able to keep him upright in that game, and we're able to see what he's made of. But over the last 2 games, Arizona has 5 takeaways. And if they're if they're going to be able to get penetration on the defensive line, he's going to throw a couple interceptions. I think Arizona's going to cover the spread, which is 6.5 points right now, I believe. I think that they are going to take care of business in San Antonio.
Funny part about that game is that right now 70% of the picks have been coming in on Oklahoma's side, and you would think Oklahoma's a bigger program here, bigger name, Brent Venables being their coach. You'd expect Oklahoma to be able to take care of business in this game. Like you guys have already mentioned, and like we said coming into this game, Arizona has a lot of guys who played all season. That group is, they have some cohesion there. They're going to be ready to go for this one. And as much as I love Jackson Arnold, I told you guys, a couple weeks ago, I think Jackson Arnold's going to be a huge player in the Heisman come next year. I just think that it's too quick of a turnaround, especially with, like Alex mentioned, that offensive line being very fresh. They won't really know what's going on until the middle of the third quarter in that game. And with this being Jackson's first game, he'll have a tough time getting those protections right, things like that. So I like Arizona to win this game. I think Jackson does look pretty good in this one. I think he shows you glimpses of what he can be in the future, but I like Arizona to win. I think they take care of business in the Alamo Bowl.
Alamo.
Another
Talk
interesting
about
game.
what could have been.
Yeah,
oh my
talk about what
goodness,
could have
all
been,
these games.
and sure as hell what it's not going to be. The DirecTV Holiday Bowl down in San Diego. Play this at Petco, I believe, in the baseball stadium. 10-3 Louisville Cardinals, 7-5 USC Trojans. The list of people who are playing for USC is probably shorter than the list of people who have either left, opted out, or graduated.
Rumor has it if you fill out a raffle ticket, you can go play. If you get selected, you can play for USC in the bowl game.
You selected, they'll suit you up and let you try to throw a pass. I like Louisville here. We all know Caleb Williams is not going to play. We already talked about the other guys. Two of the big names, 3 big names already that left the portal, and that was
Brandon
like
Rice isn't playing.
Yeah, that was the second group of guys that left in the portal. Brandon Rice is not playing. USC is going to be down to. I will dare say there's probably a handful of guys that play Saturday for USC that have probably not played more than 20 snaps all season, and they're going to play a whole goddamn football game against an experienced Louisville team. Anytime you're a college football program and you can get to 11 wins, it's kind of 12 is a real magical number, but 11 is still a really big number that most programs don't get too often. I think Louisville goes in there focused. I like Louisville here.
I like Louisville as well. I do think that their team is very senior led, and I think these guys are going to want to end the season on a positive note. Obviously, I think they are very disappointed in their output in the ACC championship game against the Florida State team that had a third string quarterback. And so I think this is a chance for them to end that season on the right note. They're well coached, and with USC just shuffling so many guys in that lineup that have just no experience, I think it's going to be too much for Louisville. I think this is a lower scoring game, kind of one of those ugly ones that, you really don't expect when you hear that USC name behind it. But I like Louisville to win this game.
Well, starting for USC quarterback, his name is Miller Moss. Have you guys ever heard of Miller Moss? Probably not.
Miller Moss has been their backup quarterback all year, essentially.
Yeah, but have you really heard about him? No, not really. You didn't really have the chance to. Obviously, Caleb Williams was at the helm. I'm going to tell you one thing about Miller Moss. this is not the game he makes a name for himself. Okay, Louisville's defense is way too tough, and they are way too ferocious. And USC we are way too unclear on what kind of USC team is going to be coming out of that locker room. Obviously, they have the coaching, they have the offensive mindset. They're going to put some points on the board, I do believe. But I think Louisville's defense is just going to be way too much. Jack Plummer is still going to be at the helm. He's got a chip on his shoulder from the ACC championship performance where he went 14 for 36, only 111 yards. Absolutely played probably the worst game of his college career. So he wants to come back and show what he can really do going into next season. He will be without two of his weapons, with Jamari Thrash planning on going to the NFL, and of course Jawar Jordan as well. 11 players will not be playing on the Louisville side this weekend. I don't think that's going to make too much of a defense. Louisville's going to take care of business. And like I said, Miller Moss, sorry, my man, this is not going to be your week. Maybe next year.
Ooh, the old Hawaii Bowl.
Can I start with this one?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I was gonna let.
Oh, Alex, this is his team. You're right. You're right.
I was gonna let Alex bring this one in because he was Mr. San Jose State at the beginning of the year. So, Alex, please introduce this game, where they're playing, who's playing, and we'll take your pick on this one first, sir.
All right, my friends. So we have the Hawaii Bowl. Okay, my friend San Jose State Spartans are going against the Coastal Carolina. What is the Coastal Carolina mascot again? It's the
Chanticleers.
Chanticleers. What a name. I love it. Both teams coming in 7-5. Honolulu, Hawaii is where it's being played. Honestly, I feel like if I was in one of these conferences, Hawaii is where I'd want to end up at the end of the year. What better place in the winter to go than one of the most beautiful places in the United States? So I think both these teams are winning this weekend, no matter who wins this game. But Grayson McCall, he was a starter for Coastal Carolina, not in this week. Chevin Cordero coming home for his final collegiate game with San Jose State. Obviously, he went to Hawaii. He's from Hawaii, played at Hawaii, and then transferred to San Jose State later in his career. It's his last collegiate game. He's been able to they completely got gypped out of their conference championship game. And I really am kind of still upset about that. But what do you guys think going into this game? How do you guys see it playing out?
So I mean, for me, I think this is easy. I think San Jose State is the team to beat here. Coastal Carolina, yes, I know they've had success, years past, but if you look at that Coastal Carolina team, they went as far as Grayson McCall went. He was in the portal. Obviously, he's moving on from the team this year. So they're going to have a guy starting in their game. I believe it's going to be Jared Guess is going to be their starting quarterback for this game. He was their backup pretty much all year. But San Jose State, I mean, you talk about Cordero coming home, like this is what movies are made of. I think he's going to go back home. Sure, he's got a ton of tickets. He's got probably 50 family members that are going to be at that game. He has a 4-touchdown game, and San Jose State rolls in this one, in my opinion. I like San Jose State not only to win, I like them to win big in this one.
Boom, we'll go with my man College Control on this one. I like San Jose State Spartans big. You mentioned Grayson McCall. He kind of is Mr. Coastal Carolina. But Portal gone. San Jose State, kind of a roller coaster type season, to be honest. We had the hype early with the USC game, and them keeping it close and making Alex look smarter than he probably is. But
Truth.
We had and then I will say this point blank, there was a couple other weekends that I was high on them, or had them in a parlay or something like that, and they kind of pooped the bed. But they rebounded at the end of the year, got into conference playing, kind of settled down, and kind of did their thing. So, I mean, the trip alone for Coastal Carolina is crazy. It's a one plane trip for San Jose. I just think they're the better football team, and the guys that they have that are going to show up and play. I think flying 13 hours to start your backup quarterback is not the most ideal situation in a bowl. So I will. I like San Jose State here anyway, but I'm going San Jose State comfy. We'll go comfy. I like Cottrell. I agree with Cottrell on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're 9.5-point favorites. That says everything we need to know. And besides Chevin Cordero, Hawaii is a prime recruiting ground for San Jose State. So there's a lot of players going home this weekend that are going to be playing for their friends and family. So that's definitely also going to be a reason to bet on San Jose State this weekend.
All right, well, let's go to Vegas. I mean, shit,
Vegas.
You leave Hawaii.
Vegas
is
the
Vegas.
The SRS Distribution Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl.
Playing
it at the world's. I'm assuming this is in the world's biggest Roomba, Allegiant Stadium. Utah, Utes 8-4.
No, I'm
What?
just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. They're playing
Yeah,
the Sphere. That would be sweet.
The Sphere thing is badass, dude.
That would be sweet if they were playing in there.
would.
But no, yeah, you're right. Allegiant.
Versus the Northwestern Wildcats, fresh off their hazing incident, rebounded nicely for the rest of the year. Had a couple surprise wins down the stretch, and I'm not even gonna lie. I give that coach a lot of credit for holding that team together. Utah, I'm assuming. Do we know who's going to play quarterback? I mean, Cam's not going to play.
Yes, it's going to be Bryson Barnes.
I thought he was in the portal.
No, he is.
No,
he
the
is
other
still
one's
playing.
No,
he's in the portal. But Bryson Barnes is starting.
Nate Johnson is in the portal.
Got it. All right. Well, I liked Utah anyway, but now I really like them. This is not going to be a high-scoring game. Does anybody have the over/under handy on this one?
Yes, I do. It is 41.5.
It's hard for me not to take the under on this.
What is up with that 41.5 number? Like, is that like when you see like two ugly offenses? Is that just what you go to?
I guess. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for bowl games. Yeah, it's tough for bowl games. You really don't know who's going to play. They're always at neutral field, so it's tough. Northwestern, I will tell you, though, struggles to score the football. They stayed in a lot of these games because they do have a pretty solid defense. They're almost like a poor man's Iowa, if I'm being honest. It's kind of what they are, grinded out type thing. And Utah is kind of a Big Ten team stuck in a Pac-12 type conference. So I like Utah here, though. I like Utah. What's the spread on this, Alex?
6.5. Utah.
I like Utah to cover. Utah like 23-10, something like that.
So I'll go next here because I'm on the exact opposite side of you here, Bill. I think this is the first time in the 5 games that we've gone that we're going to be splitting up here. I like Northwestern in this one. I think David Braun has done a great job with what he has over there at Northwestern, and I think they're going to be ready to go for this game. You know, you talk about Bryson Barnes being their starter, and that makes you more confident. I think there's a lot of guys in this Utah team that has 1 foot in with 1 foot already out the door. I think they're in a place of a lot of uncertainty, and regardless of what your true projections were of this Utah team going into this season, they had no ambitions of being in the distribution Las Vegas Bowl. And so I think that's going to play a huge part with Northwestern. They're just happy to be here. Pat Fitzgerald was their coach. You know, they were a team that, continually looked towards making a spot into the Big Ten championship game, and losing Pat beginning of the year. I think they were fully expecting this team to be a 3-4 win team, and now they're in a bowl game. I think they play inspire. I think they get it done out there in Las Vegas.
Hey, man, I mean, Bryson Barnes honestly is, what made this offense go. They really looked at their best when he was leading them at the helm. But, Northwestern's defense, just like you kind of said, is a poor man's Iowa. They're, 30th ranked defense in the country, surprisingly enough. Utah, respectively, 28th in the country. So just like you guys are trying to say with us right now on the show, that this is going to be a lower scoring game. I do think Bryson Barnes is going to be the difference maker here. I mean, this Utah team has been riddled with injuries all year long. I think with the extended break, which since they last played, I believe this is going to be the healthiest they've been all season since they looked amazing against Florida in the opening weekend, week 0. So I do think that Utah is going to look great this season. I think we're going to get a flash of what the Utah we expected to see this season is going to would have looked like without those injuries. And I think that Utah dominates Northwestern. I have them on the same page as Bill. I think it's like a 28-10 sort of game. I think Utah's defense is really going to step up, and their offense is going to carry the load.
See, Alex knows what's going on.
Hey, give me a game up in Bowl Mania. I'll take it.
Ventures Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. South Alabama, which I would assume this is damn near a home game for them.
A home game. Yeah.
A home game against Eastern Michigan Eagles. I don't know. Flip a coin on this one. I don't.
No.
It is.
Stop. Phil, stop it.
I will tell you.
South Alabama is the team to beat here. You know where the Senior Bowl is held every year? Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile.
You know whose stadium that goes through? South Alabama. This is a home game for them. They get to go up against the MAC school at home. Give me South Alabama to roll in this game. 2 6-6 programs. It's in the Jaguars' backyard. South Alabama is going to roll, and the spread tells you everything you need to know. Last time I looked at it, I'm pretty sure it was at 9.5 in favor of the Jaguars. This is going to be a blowout. Pick South Alabama here. This is one of the easier games to pick in this one.
Cottrell, I don't think you've checked very recently because the spread right now is currently 17 points.
Even worse than where I was at.
Cottrell running some kind of con here for the South Alabama Jaguars.
But that's in favor of South Alabama. Like that, South Alabama is the favorites in this game. Like, so.
Eastern Michigan had to win its last 2 games to get in to be bowl eligible anyway, and they were literally carried to the finish line. Who was it? Samson Evans literally carried them to the finish line to get them bowl eligible. South Alabama should roll in this game. They're literally playing in their home stadium. And Braylon McReynolds is going to be taking over at running back. But the last game of the season, he had 79 yards rushing, 70 yards through the air receiving. I think he's a great option out the backfield, and South Alabama rolls. I think it's like 44-7. Like, it's going to be rough.
Thank you, Alex. Let him know, Alex. Bill's talking about it being a pick 'em. Let him know, Alex. Let him know.
Listen, I just checked my Bowl Mania. I just want to make sure I picked South Alabama, so we're on the same page here. I will say this. I've been to many Eastern Michigan football games. I will say this. I've been there. I went there when the turf was still green, though. It's gray now. It used to be green, but I was there back in the days when Ben was still at Miami, Ohio, or whatever. I can't think of Eastern Michigan's coach, but he's got some kind of crazy stat that, like, they've been like one bowl game in like 40 years before he got there. And I think this is like the 4th or 5th year in a row that they've gone bowling with him. So, again, still congrats to get there. Again, I mean, anytime these kids get to play an extra game, especially with programs of this nature, you're just happy for both of them. But I do agree with both these guys. South Alabama's going to roll. It's a home game. And I just hate to say it, Eastern Michigan's just not that good. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. This is in Boise, Idaho, on the blue turf.
This is a bowl game.
The old
bowl game, baby.
The old Smurf turf. We got. Let's see. This is Utah State
and Georgia State.
Georgia State.
No, not Georgia. Georgia State. Could you imagine Utah State versus Georgia at the Potato Bowl? Whew, that'd be rough.
That would be rough.
Let me get messed up.
I'm going Utah State here. I think Georgia State started out kind of hot this year, and then kind of hit a lull in the middle of the season. They kind of backed their way in as well. I get Georgia State and Georgia Southern confused all the time, but I did go back and look at this one all the time. But I like Utah State. I think from everything I've read, there's not a lot to read on this game. Everything I have read, though, most of Utah State's seniors are going to play. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to go with them. I'll say 28-23 Utah State.
I'm rolling with Georgia State in this one.
You
Marcus
would.
Carroll, I think Marcus Carroll is going to be the difference maker in this game. He has over 1,300 yards this season, and I think that is what's going to take out that
Wait, who
Utah
is?
State team. Marcus Carroll.
Oh, well, I hate to burst your bubble, my friend, but he's not playing.
Why?
Ah!
And either
Why
is
is
wide
he an
receiver
opt-out?
Robert Lewis. They're both entered
Why
the
is he?
portal. They both entered the portal. They're both
in
not
the
playing.
portal?
And they
Ew.
accounted for 20 of Georgia State's 22 touchdowns this year. So they're gonna have a real fun day
Yeah.
on the offensive
All
side
right,
of the
all
ball.
right. I changed my mind. I didn't know Marcus Carroll wasn't playing.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
flip
out.
flop. Flippy flop.
I got Utah State in this one because if you've ever seen like Georgia State was a team again, you guys know I have an agenda with a lot of my things and the things that I say. Georgia State played James Madison early this year. So I've seen this Georgia State team play this year. I know who is and who isn't big parts of their offense. Alex mentioned two of the biggest pieces of their entire offense. They will not score the ball without either one of those players. That's not
Nope.
going to happen. This is an easy pick. Now, Alex, thank you so much for educating me. I didn't see that they weren't playing. Utah State is the easy pick in this one.
Well, here's the crazy thing. The Utah State's only a 1-point favorite right now. So now is definitely the time to jump on that money line for sure, or not the spread for sure. And here's the thing: a lot of people are kind of not sure how this game is going to go because Utah State is starting their third-string quarterback, Levi Williams.
Doesn't matter.
I know exactly, but that's the thing is he started last year for Wyoming in the Potato Bowl. He's a dual threat. He's a dual threat option. Had 4 rushing touchdowns last year in the bowl game for Wyoming. He's got some experience. He's already played in this game before. He knows what it's like to eat those potatoes. He's good to go. Utah State by 150. Let's go.
hey, here we are, baby. Here we are.
Hey, here we go. The Armed Forces Bowl. Here we go. You want this one?
Hold me back. Hold me back, man.
You got it. Go ahead. Introduce your boys.
Madison,
go ahead,
baby. To hell with the damn service academies. You know, I know you guys are gonna give me hate for that one. I don't really mean that, but in this game, Armed Forces Bowl, I don't give a damn. Give me those Dukes of James Madison. They will roll in this one. They earned their bowl game. They should have been in a better bowl than this one itself, but they won 11-1. You give them the Armed Forces Bowl against Air Force, where everybody's going to be against them. I like the Dukes to roll in this game. I don't know what the spread is, but damn it, they're going to cover and they're going to take care of business and get their first FBS bowl win.
Spread is 1.5 for James Madison.
Yeah. So, this is playing. It's Fort Worth, Texas. This is getting played at TCU. So, this is a bigger bowl game than I think people realize because of the Armed Forces. A lot of people show up for it. I'll tell you right now, this is going to be an entertaining football game.
For sure.
This is going to kind of be, don't get mad, but this is going to be Army Navy, but on steroids. That's what this is going to be. This is going to be like Army or Navy with like 4-star kids. So both teams want to run the ball, but both teams can pass the ball a little bit. This will be a little bit higher scoring. This will be a very, very, very exciting. This will be a fun game to watch. This is a game that will not lack, excitement or scoring. I, like Cottrell, have been on the James Madison bandwagon all year. I'm glad they got to go bowling. And that being said, I am picking them as well. I am backing them. I think they pick up their first bowl win. Hell of a story to finish the season for the Dukes. Air Force, everybody forgets Air Force was 8-0, or I think they were 7-0 at one point.
Yep.
Kind of, obviously struggled mightily down the stretch, but
I think James Army and never picked it back up.
Yep. I got smoked by Army actually. But I like James Madison. I'm going with Cottrell. I've backed them all year and supported them and shouted from the top of the mountains for them. So I'm not getting off the bus here.
So here's the thing. All right. For James Madison, 10 of their 22 starters have entered the transfer portal. Okay, 10 of 22. Half of their starters on the 11-1 team are no longer there. So basically, it's like
And their
half the
coach
team.
went to Indiana. I don't
And
care.
the coach
I
went to
don't care,
Indiana.
Alex.
Kurt Signali. Am I done, Cottrell? Do I interrupt
I don't
you?
care.
Do I come
I
down
don't
to your
care.
work? And do I slap the
You're
donut out of
talking
your
about my
mouth?
team.
And do I tell you how to do your job?
It's not Ohio State, but you're talking about my team here, Alex, okay? You're talking about my team.
Okay, just listen, let me finish, okay? Here's the most telling tale of this game. Air Force ranks 7th in time of possession, so they're obviously going to try to control that clock, but they run the ball 86.8% of the time. James Madison is allowing 2.1 yards per carry. That's all you need to know. The Air Force can run all day. James Madison's defense, whether they are in the portal or not, are not going to allow a single rushing touchdown to Air Force. I think Air Force gets shut out. I hate saying that. If it's the Armed Forces Bowl, I want to support Air Force, but this game in James Madison is just going to be too much, and I think it's going to be a pretty heavy score. Probably, I'm saying 35-3.
Alex, you had me in the first half, but you came around, man. You came
gotta
around.
let me finish,
I'm happy.
bro. You gotta let me finish.
Okay? You had me, though. I thought you were about to tell me James Madison wasn't going to be ready for this bowl game, but
Well,
you
here's the
didn't do
kicker.
that, so I'm happy.
Here's the kicker. 10 of 22 stars are in the portal, but supposedly all 10 of them are still going to play for James Madison. That's the rumor coming out of camp. So look out for that. So essentially, they're going to have the whole team. Like I said, I started out, giving some shots to James Madison, but look for them to cover, especially when it's only a 1.5 point spread right now. That seems ridiculous. Either Vegas knows something, or we're all about to become real rich.
Because we're here right now, I'm just going to go out here and say it. I'm going to throw it out there. James Madison will be in the college football playoff within the next 4 years.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction with that team.
That would be a hell of a feat. Where are we going next?
Oh yeah,
the Mellow Bowl. Cottrell's got a little skin in this game too. So I'll let him go. I'll let him introduce this one too.
Look, so this game here, I was giving Gene some shit about this game on Wednesday, but you got Arkansas State, which is, for those of you that don't know, one of my alma maters. Got my master's from Arkansas State against NIU, who, of course, in the MAC, got some action love there. Give me Arkansas State in this game, and I like them, and I'm pretty comfortable, picking them in this one. Arkansas State is a team that has struggled mightily past few years in terms of winning football games. I think NIU is a team that's overachieved in a sense. If you watch them play in the MAC, they play some teams tight, but really just watching them play, I don't think they're that good of a football team. Not saying Arkansas is great by any means. I mean, you got 2 6-6 teams here, but I like Arkansas State to win this game, and I'm pretty confident in saying that.
I'm going with you as well. I can tell you with no uncertainty whatsoever that I have not seen Arkansas State play football for 1 second this year. I have, however, seen Northern Illinois play twice, and they're not the best. This is a battle of 2 6-6 teams. Another Alabama game down in Alabama. Forrest Gump might be in the stands, ready to return some kicks. You don't know. I'm going to go with Cottrell just simply out of loyalty to my co-host. I will back the Red Wolves as well. I think even though I like Huskies, I think Red Wolves is kind of a badass mascot too. So I will go Arkansas State.
Alex, don't look like that. I had the Arkansas State crew neck on Wednesday night.
He did.
Go throw the tape back on, okay? Don't look like that.
Look, all right. I'm going to introduce y'all. Actually, I guess, Cottrell, you already know. Bill, you said you haven't watched the game. But Jalen Rayner of Arkansas State, he is honestly a next-level athlete. In my opinion, Arkansas State is lucky that he didn't enter the portal. I think that he would be a very coveted athlete coming out of Arkansas State. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He had 2,300 passing yards this year, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Really, what he needs to work on is when he gets under pressure and when he's down early, he needs to stop forcing throws, and they'll be just fine. They'll have a much better season next year record-wise. Now, of course, Northern NIU that we got here, we're going to be looking at Ontario Brown, 6 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns this season. He's going to try to make a difference. And if Northern Illinois wants to win this game, they need to control the clock and force multiple turnovers. If Northern Illinois can get ahead early, Jalen Rayner has those interception problems. And I do think that that's what's going to be the difference in this game. Alabama is popping this weekend with how many games they got going on. But I'm going with the Huskies taking care of business against the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. What is that? What is the spread right now? Anyway, Arkansas State is -3. Yeah,
1.5?
easy cover.
3? They're at 3 now? Okay.
Yeah, it's at 3 right now.
Alex, you brought up a good point, though. Their quarterback not entering the portal, I do think that's big for them. I think Arkansas State will be a sneaky team next year in the Sun Belt to compete for the conference title next year.
Yeah, he's an athlete, man. He's gonna be fun to watch, and I just think that next year he'll have a huge growth year after starting as a true freshman. I think going into his sophomore year, I think they got a good foundation.
Sign me up for I know you won't get it because James Madison still is going through what they're going through, but sign me up for James Madison, Arkansas State, Sun Belt Conference title game.
All right, I'm in.
The 76 Birmingham Bowl. Another goddamn,
Alabama's popping.
Another game in freaking Alabama, man.
So much traffic this weekend. I swear, you better get to your destination early, people.
So we got
showing out bowl season.
Yep. So we got the Sons of Troy that are 11-2 versus the Duke Blue Devils that are 7-5. Duke at one point was 6-0 and kind of the darlings of not only this show and even Wire to Wire. They were kind of the underdog favorites of people, on national broadcasts as well. They were getting a lot of love. And then the injury to Riley Leonard kind of just made that team spiral. Riley Leonard is obviously gone. He transferred. He's at Notre Dame. I think a bunch of the guys on this team on Duke, from what I've read, are either up in the air about still playing or not playing. I'm going to go Troy here. I think Troy wins. I think they're taking most of their team. I know their quarterback is questionable, but I believe that's with injury, not like a portal or opting out type thing. So I like Troy here. I think they win by a touchdown. I think Duke's just going to have too many guys that matter on the sideline. And I just feel like they ran out of gas. I really do.
From what I heard, Gunnar Watson, the QB for Troy, is going to be good to go for this game. Over his last 5 games, 13 touchdowns, only 1 interception. That kind of tells you what kind of ball control he has. And leading a team to an 11-2 record is not an easy task, no matter what conference you play in. And not to mention, he's got a crazy weapon behind him in Kamani Vidal. 1,582 rushing yards, second in the country. This dude is a one-man wrecking crew. Troy's offense averaging 31.2 points per game, and their defense only allowing a stout 17.2. Duke, their coach left, the QB left. Grayson Loftus is going to start. He's averaging 235 yards per game through the air. He's a little bit of a different type of quarterback than the Riley Leonard that they, that was led them to a high ranking early in the season. But anyway, I do think that this game is going to be higher scoring, with Grayson Loftus's ability to go downfield. I do think they're going to open it up a little bit. But I do think Gunnar Watson and Vidal are going to be the difference makers. I got Troy winning this game. What was it I had? I think it was like 35-22. It's much closer. The game is much closer than the score dictates, but I do think Troy takes care of business in Alabama.
And I'm with both of you guys here. I like Troy to take care of business as well. You got a quarterback named Gunnar. I mean, he's going to throw a thing all over the yard. You've seen him play so far this year. He's very good at what he does. And you talk about Vidal as well, and he's great on the ground. I know I've been critical of Troy, talking about them in the Sun Belt championship game against Appalachian State, even picking Appalachian State. But I just think with what this Duke team has to ultimately try to overcome, with Mike Elko heading over to A&M, Riley Leonard obviously not being there, we saw what this team looked like down the stretch when Riley Leonard wasn't under center. So I think it's more of the same. I know you're facing a non-P5 school in Troy here, but I think Troy takes care of business and I like that score that you put out. 35-22 is awkward because 22 is a little weird there, but I kind of like that. Yeah, I see it being a 35-21, maybe a 31-14 kind of game. I think Troy takes care of business in the Birmingham Bowl.
There we go.
Here we go. We're getting
the meat and potatoes.
We are getting the meat potatoes. It's part of the ones we have to go through because they will be on before we will be back on air next Saturday. Whew. Goodyear Cotton Bowl, Arlington, Texas, down in Jerry World. The Missouri Tigers 10-2. Get to see 11-1 Ohio State Buckeyes. If everybody was playing for Ohio State, I know who I would pick here. They're kind of, I don't want to say they're keeping it quiet. Ryan Day just said he's going to let his guys, leave the power to them to decide to tell when they're playing, if they're playing, if they're going to opt out or what they're doing. I know a lot of the guys.
I'll tell you right now. Any questions you have, I'll tell you. I'll give you an answer. Who's playing? Who's not playing?
All right. Is Harrison Jr. playing?
No. Come on. No.
I heard he was playing. I read a report today saying he was going to be playing.
He's been at practice this entire time since the Michigan game. He will not play in that game.
Egbuka is going to play. I know that.
Emeka will play. They're expecting Emeka to come back next year.
Yeah. Right. So that's the one. I think the key thing here. They have all been with the team. They're still been practicing. I read the interview with Ryan Day from I want to say it was like Tuesday, and he just said, I don't want to speak for anyone because some of them still are undecided, and the other guys that have been up their mind, they're going to declare or say they're staying or they're playing or whatever, when they're ready. I really want to pick Ohio State here. I really do. Because I know everybody's playing from Missouri. Who do you think? Who is going to start a quarterback, Cottrell?
Devin Brown is going to be your starting quarterback for the Buckeyes.
I'm going to go against my better judgment here, and I'm going to stick with Ohio State because that's what my gut is. But
terrible.
I feel like Schrader and the boys might run all over them. I'm going Ohio State. I'm staying Ohio State.
Schrader and the boys.
The literal end of the day, Ohio State, I'd say the majority of whoever you're thinking of might play, might not play, they're going to end up playing in that game. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, is the only one. McCord, obviously, he's in the portal. He's going to Syracuse. He's not going to be there. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the only, high-profile name that sits out in this game. Travion, there's question marks around him. I think he plays in that game. They're talking about him coming back next year. Ohio State staff is pretty confident that JT and Emeka will both be back next year for them. With that said, I think both of them play in that game as well. And even the seniors that we have on defense, like Tommy and Steel Chambers, I think all those guys try to end their season the right way, especially after a loss to Michigan. I don't think they want to end their final collegiate game with a loss to Michigan. And I've been saying it all year. I give Missouri all the credit in the world for what they've done and how they've looked. I think they get a little bit overrated because of who they've played so far in their schedule. Their best one all season has been Kansas State. We saw what they looked like with other teams that played on the highest stage in, LSU and Georgia. And, the Georgia game was close. I'll give them credit there. At the end of the day, Ohio State needs to find a way to limit Luther Burden and not have him get huge plays over the top, and I think they'll be able to do that. So I like Ohio State. I think they struggle early, but at the end of the day, I like them to win this game, and I think it's rather comfy against this Missouri team. And I think the one last thing that I'll add, the spread on this game is weird because you got Missouri as 2.5-point favorites, but if you look at the FPI according to ESPN, Ohio State is, predicted to win this, 79% chance to win this football game. Very, very strange when you look at it like that. So, but I like Ohio State to ultimately pull out the game.
Y'all can talk up Ohio State all you want, and that's totally fine. But y'all are just forgetting about Brady Cook. Y'all are forgetting about Cody Schrader. Y'all are forgetting about Luther Burden III. This, in my opinion, course, I have to say that because it is my opinion. This may be the best offense Ohio State has gone up against this season, in my humble opinion, as far as weapons go.
Bill, do you hear this?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because like I said, Michigan is a better team because Michigan has the defense to go along with it. Missouri's defense, not the flashiest, flash in the pan. But their offense, this may be the best offense that Ohio State has had to go up against this entire season. You got Luther Burden with 1,197 yards. You got Cody Schrader with just under 1,500 yards on the ground. You got to figure out who to stop. You gotta drop an extra guy in coverage to stop that deep pass attack, or you're gonna load the box to stop that sharp run game. They can beat you either way. And for me, Brady Cook is going to be the man that's going to do it all. And I think that Missouri goes into Arlington, Texas, into the Cotton Bowl. It's going to end the year as a good year, and they're going to take care of business. Missouri covers the spread. I think it's going to be like probably 35-30, Missouri over Ohio State.
All right.
And that's how we end the show. This is an invisible mic. I'm dropping it.
We shall see.
Bill, I can't believe you let that slide, though. He said Missouri has a better offense than Michigan.
I mean, I'm just letting him. Listen, I got to give him consolation prizes. He thought Oregon was going to be the playoff all year. Here we are, 2 losses, couldn't beat Washington. He's kind of how
play Liberty.
Yeah, they got it.
This is probably one of the 3 best games of the College Bowl season, though, especially with all the players that are actually playing in this game. This is definitely one of the 3 best games on the schedule, in my opinion.
What, Missouri, Ohio State?
Yes.
I think.
I was going to say Oregon Liberty. I was like, what?
No.
Ohio State. If I'm being honest, I think Ohio State wins by double digits in that game. I don't think Missouri's offense I don't think they come to play. I don't think you see the explosiveness out of that Missouri offense, and their defense doesn't have what it takes to stop Ohio State.
I'll say this: I don't love Missouri's defense, and we want to talk about the best, and so forth and so on. That Ohio State defense is going to be by far the best defense they've seen all year. So it's going to be very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how they limit, guys on the outside, what they do with Schrader. But I'm sticking Ohio State. I'm sticking Big Ten.
The fun thing about that game is, I'm on the cruise, but I'm in Texas. Like, I'll be back. Doc still be in Texas. I'll be in Houston. The game's happening in Dallas. So I really want to consider going to that game. I just don't know how feasible it's going to be. 3-hour drive is going to be tough. Leave the next morning, but.
Tickets are as low as $83.
I'll say
tickets are only $83 right now.
It's in Jerry World, dude. So there's plenty of seats. I mean, I'm sure you could get up there cheap. If it's worth a 3-hour drive, go out, watch the game, and come back. Probably is. You sleep on the plane. It's a difference.
True.
All right. Well, that is it for this week.
That's it.
That is. We're gonna wrap here. We do have to get Cottrell on the Titanic and get him out of here to take his cruise. But before we go, a couple things. Cottrell, you will not be on next Saturday. Like I said, me and I Black will have a special third co-host with us next week. So we do need your predictions for the two CFP games.
So
we'll get those. Go ahead.
I like Alabama to dethrone Michigan in that game. Sorry, Bill. It's nothing. It's not even hate against Michigan here. I just think Alabama has what it takes to get big plays in the rushing attack. I think Jalen Monroe being a dual threat, you'll see him have a lot of success in the running game. And I think Alabama's defense, the way they get after the quarterback, I think they'll be able to handle Michigan's rushing attack. And once you make JJ drop back and, have pressure under him, I think he makes a couple of mistakes similar to what you saw last year. And I also think Alabama wins that game. I think it's rather lower scoring. I got it being like a 24-17 Bama win, 24-20, that kind of game for Bama to ultimately win. On the other side of things, I do like Washington to win that football game. I think it's higher scoring. You're going to see Quinn Ewers put up a lot of points in that one. But I think with Michael Penix Jr., I think every single time that you think the game's out of reach for Washington, Michael Penix Jr. is going to strike back. I like Washington to win that game 38-34, and it's a game-winning drive led by Michael Penix Jr. Texas's defense won't be able to stand, very similar to what you saw with Texas versus Oklahoma earlier in this year with Dylan Gabriel leading that offense down the field to score.
All right, so Cottrell's got Bama, Washington, and the championship.
Gross.
Isn't it? Isn't it gross?
Well, after those previews, I hope your boat gets hit by a torpedo. And other than that,
well, with that being the case, this is my last show. Have fun doing it. So hopefully
we'll hang
these
up
shows last forever.
We'll hang up like an Ohio State jersey in the background, just sit there forever.
Hope I get retired in the rafters. Hope you guys don't.
I'll put up a Joe Burrow Ohio State jersey right here.
Don't start that. We're not doing that. No time for that tonight. No time for that tonight. But on top of everything else, Christmas is in 2 days. So, gentlemen, I will give you both the opportunity to say whatever you want before we sign off here, and then we will close the show, and then everybody will go enjoy their holidays.
So I'll just go real quick here because I don't really have that much to say. I definitely want to wish you guys Merry Christmas. It's been great doing this show. We talked about it a few weeks ago when we went over during Thanksgiving. But truly grateful that we're able to put this show on every week. I've had a ton of fun doing it, and even with me being on vacation, I'm like, hey, I got to make sure I get the show in because we got so much to go over, and we got to make sure it happens. So definitely want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Everybody watching, we appreciate the support, especially with this being a new show Saturday morning. It's kind of a weird time if you work or if you don't. You're just chilling, enjoying your weekend. We appreciate you guys tapping in with us and talking some college sports. So just want to send everybody watching well wishes, send you two well wishes, and hope you guys enjoy your Christmas here in a couple of days.
Heck yeah, man. I unfortunately have to work Christmas Eve, but it's going to be an amazing day to have Monday morning off with my family and my kids and the wife. And, honestly, it's been this college football season has flown by doing the show with you guys, but it's honestly been the highlight of my week, getting, information together, talking to you guys all week, kind of just getting the show, put together. And then when it comes time to say action, it's just nothing but professionals except for Cottrell with his crappy picks. But other than that, Jesus. Merry Christmas to both you guys. I know I'm dead serious, Cottrell. Hopefully your cruise is awesome. I've personally never been on one, so you got to definitely take some pictures. Show us when you get back. Bill, Merry Christmas to you and the family. Hopefully you get to see Travis and and Katie, and have a great Christmas with them as well. And I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, so I'm gonna obviously repeat a lot of things that were just said, but obviously Merry Christmas to both you guys, gentlemen, and your families. Cottrell, all kidding aside, I hope you have a safe trip. And you have a great cruise. I know if Ohio State was in the playoff, I know Cottrell, you would have canceled the cruise and you guys would have won a different week, but it's fine. It's fine. No, but to echo some of the stuff you guys just said, I don't think until you really start to do something like this, you understand how cool it is to kind of create something with somebody and put it on every week. Me and Cottrell went through this 3 years ago with Gene and started Wire to Wire. And that show continues to still blow my mind sometimes with certain numbers that we do and that we see. And it continues to grow and build and, get bigger and better. So to start over and kind of do it again with somebody completely different, for people at home that don't know, Cottrell and Alex have never met each other ever. It is, I know we keep it fun and in my opinion, we've done a great job because this came together pretty quick. This wasn't something that we were sitting on for 6 months and we decided to do. This all came together in about 10 days, which ironically is kind of how Wire to Wire was too. So,
sure.
It is, it's so cool to sit back and kind of reflect on things. And I'm extremely grateful to do this show with both you gentlemen. I've said it before, you guys both make it easy. I have the easiest job on the show. I get to come on here and talk, which I love to do. All the behind the scenes stuff is done by these two other guys. It's not me. Cottrell does all the producing, all the amazing slides and graphics you see is all Alex. I am obviously, grateful for both you guys for handling that stuff. It is a team effort, but these two, deserve more of the lion's share of credit than I do. But that being said, I love this show. I have a severe, crazy passion for college football, just like Cottrell does, and obviously Alex does as well. So to be able to branch off and do this and start our own thing and kind of watch it grow, it's been really fun. I can't, wait to see, where we go from here. I hope everybody has a safe, and happy holiday and Merry Christmas. Enjoy it with your families. And all the guys, that listen to us every week, Gene's at work at the time, still pops in. All the other guys, Justin Louder, who is, I think, by far probably our number one fan. He's a West Coast guy, I believe, correct?
Yeah, went to high school with him.
Yeah, so I mean, again, that's the other thing. This is, me and Cottrell get up at 10 o'clock to do the show. Alex is up at 7 o'clock every morning on the West Coast to do the show. So again, thank you for that dedication from both you guys. Is very very much appreciated, and all the fans that continue to help us grow and share and do all that stuff. We are obviously that's what makes these things go. So we are all grateful for that. And that being said, we're gonna get out of here. I hope everybody has a safe holiday. I really do. Enjoy it with your families. Make sure you spend time with your loved ones and reflect on how lucky you are to be there and be in the moment and appreciate everything. So Alex mentioned I will be with Travis and Jonathan and my sister first thing Christmas morning. So that is it's always a great way to start Christmas now for us. So for my family. So from everybody here, Merry Christmas to everybody else. And we will be back next week. So we will see you next Saturday. Cottrell, we will see you in a few weeks, sir.
Absolutely. Don't say anything stupid next week, because I will. If I have to, I'll buy some Wi-Fi. I'll find the Mexican spot Mexican cafe where I could just hop in and get some dial-up internet or whatever and hop in and make sure you guys are doing what you're supposed to. Okay, so
Great.
Hoping we get some great content. I'm sure we will. I'm just busting balls here, but I look forward to being back in a couple weeks with you guys.
All right, boys and girls, that is it for us this week. We will see you next week. Merry Christmas. Hope Santa brings you all the things that you wanted, and if not, enjoy the coal in your stockings.
See you guys.
See you.